The sky over Zira burned crimson as the last of the royal fleet vanished into the storm of war. King Vorlak stood alone on the obsidian balcony of his palace, his 4 eyes fixed on the horizon where his only daughter had last been seen. Princess Lyra had led the defense against the Krell swarm, her silver armor gleaming like a fallen star before the explosion swallowed her whole. No signal, no body, only silence. For 3 long cycles, Vorlax mourned. The court whispered that Lyra was gone, consumed by the void. Yet something in his gut refused to believe it. He ordered every scout ship, every drone, every fragment of wreckage scanned. Nothing. Meanwhile, far beyond the shattered borders of the Zyran Empire, a small human freighter drifted near the dead moon of Keswick. Its pilot, Lisa, was not a soldier. She was a scavenger. A woman who patched her ship with spare parts and survived on protein bars and stubborn hope. She had been hauling scrap when the battle erupted. Caught in the crossfire, she barely escaped, but not before spotting a glint of silver tumbling through the debris field. Against every instinct for self-preservation, Lisa diverted course. She found Lyra unconscious, half her armor melted, her violet skin scorched but alive. The alien princess clutched a broken data crystal to her chest like a lifeline. Lisa dragged her aboard, patched her wounds with human medgel, and kept her hidden. She knew the Zyrans saw humans as primitive, barely more than animals. If they found out a human had touched their royal blood, Lisa would be vaporized on sight. But Lyra woke. Her voice was weak, her eyes clouded with pain, but she spoke, not in the guttural Zyran tongue, but in broken English. She had studied human cultures in secret, fascinated by their music, their stories of courage against impossible odds. She told Lisa about the Krell, how they were not just raiders but a hive mind seeking to devour all sentient life. And she revealed the truth the Zyran Council had buried. The Krell were being guided by a traitor inside the royal court. Lisa listened, heart pounding. She had no weapons, no army, just a rusty freighter named the Dusty Rose and a stubborn belief that no one should be left behind. She made a choice. She would get Lyra home. The journey back was a nightmare. Krell patrols hunted them. Zyran border guards fired warning shots. Lisa flew through asteroid belts, rerouted power from life support to engines, and once hid inside a comet's tail for 2 days. Lyra grew stronger, helping navigate with star maps only Zyrans knew. They shared meals of stale crackers and rehydrated soup. Lyra laughed for the first time in cycles when Lisa played an old Earth song on a cracked tablet. "You humans are strange," Lyra said one night, watching the stars through the cockpit glass. "You risk everything for someone you do not know." Lisa smiled. "We call it doing the right thing." Finally, they reached Zyra, but the palace was under lockdown. The traitor, Commander Zorvak, had seized control in Vorlax's grief, declaring martial law and preparing to surrender to the Krell in exchange for power. He claimed Lyra was dead to justify his rule. When Lisa's ship appeared on sensors, Zorvak ordered it destroyed. Vorlax, however, saw the freighter's signal. Something in him stirred. He overruled Zorvak, demanding the ship be brought to the royal hangar. Armed guards surrounded the Dusty Rose as the ramp lowered. Lisa stepped out first, hands raised, eyes wide but steady. Behind her, Lyra emerged, her silver armor reforged from scrap metal, her posture regal despite her wounds. The court gasped. Zorvak snarled, drawing his plasma blade. "Traitor," he hissed at Lyra. "You return with a human pet to mock us." Before anyone could move, Lyra activated the data crystal. It projected a hologram of Zorvak meeting with Krell emissaries, plotting the fall of Zira. The king's eyes blazed with fury. Guards seized Zorvak as he screamed curses. Vorlax strode forward, his massive form trembling. He knelt, something no Zyran king had done in centuries, and touched his forehead to Lyra's. "My daughter," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "You live." Then he turned to Lisa, "The human who saved you, who risked her life for a stranger, who defied death itself to bring you home." Lisa swallowed hard. "I just did what anyone would do," she said softly. "No," Vorlax said, "not anyone. Only a true warrior, only a hero." In the days that followed, the Zyran Empire changed. Vorlax declared humans no longer outsiders but allies. He ordered his scientists to study human compassion, not just their technology. Lyra became his heir not just by blood but by deed, and she insisted Lisa stay as her advisor, her friend. But Lisa missed the stars. She missed the quiet hum of her ship, the freedom of the void. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the palace gardens, Lyra found her packing a small bag. "You're leaving," Lyra said. It was not a question. "I am," Lisa replied. My home is out there. Lyra nodded. Then take this. She handed her a small pendant shaped like a Zyran sun. It will open any Zyran gate. You will always have a place here. Lisa fastened it around her neck. Thank you. As the dusty rose lifted off, Vorlax and Lyra watched from the balcony. The king placed a heavy hand on his daughter's shoulder. You were lost, he said. But I was found, Lyra answered, watching the tiny ship vanish into the stars. And far away, Lisa flew toward the next unknown, the pendant warm against her skin, knowing that sometimes the smallest act of kindness could change the fate of worlds. Weeks passed since Lisa left Zira. The dusty rose hummed through quiet space far from war zones and royal courts. Lisa liked the silence. She checked her scanners, fixed a leak in the oxygen line, and listened to old Earth music on her cracked tablet. Life was simple again, or so she thought. One evening, as she drifted near the outer rim of the Helios Nebula, a faint signal blinked on her comms panel. It was weak, coded in Zyran military frequency. Her heart jumped. She tapped the screen, decoding the message with a tool Lyra had given her before she left. It was from Lyra. Help. The Krell returned. Stronger. They broke through the eastern gate. Father is wounded. Zorvak's followers still fight from the shadows. They say you are the only one who can reach the core vault. Only human hands can open it. Please come. Lisa stared at the words. Her hands trembled. She was just a scavenger, not a hero. But Lyra had called her friend, and friends do not say no. She turned the dusty rose hard to starboard and punched the engines. The ship groaned but obeyed. 3 days later, she dropped out of warp near Zyra's orbit. The planet looked different. Smoke curled from the capital city. Chunks of broken satellites floated like dead birds. The Royal Shield Dome flickered, barely holding. Before she could hail the palace, 3 Krell fighters locked onto her. They were sleek, black, and fast, new models. Lisa dove into the debris field, weaving between shattered hulls. She fired her only turret, more to distract than to destroy. One fighter clipped her wing. Alarms blared. Oxygen dropped. She gritted her teeth and aimed for the planet's shadow. At the last second, a Zyran cruiser appeared, blasting the fighters into dust. A voice crackled over comms. Human vessel Dusty Rose. This is Captain Neela of the Royal Guard. Princess Lyra sent us. Follow my signal. Relief flooded Lisa. She followed the cruiser through hidden tunnels in the atmosphere, landing deep inside the mountain fortress beneath the palace. The hangar was dim, filled with wounded soldiers and broken machines. Lyra ran to her the moment the ramp lowered. Her silver armor was dented, her violet skin streaked with soot, but her eyes burned with determination. You came, Lyra said, pulling Lisa into a tight hug. I told you I would, Lisa replied. There is no time, Lyra said, stepping back. The Krell are using a new weapon, a gravity pulse that shuts down all Zyran tech. Our shields, our guns, even our lights go dark when it hits. But humans are not affected the same way. Your biology is different. Your ship still works because it runs on older human systems. So what do I do? Lisa asked. The core vault, Lyra explained. It holds the Heartstone, the source of Zira's planetary shield. Only it can amplify a counterpulse to stop the Krell weapon. But the vault was built during the First Age, before Zyran's trusted machines. It requires a living hand to open. Warm blood, steady pulse, no cybernetics. All Zyrans in the palace have neural implants. They cannot touch it, but you are pure human. You can open it, Lisa nodded. Show me the way. They moved through dark tunnels lit by emergency glow rods. The air smelled of smoke and metal. Distant booms shook the walls. Krell forces were breaking through the lower gates. Zyran soldiers fought bravely, but they were losing. Finally, they reached a massive door carved with ancient symbols. It had no handle, no panel, just a smooth surface with a hand-shaped indent in the center. Place your hand there, Lyra said. It will read your life force. If you mean no harm, it will open. Lisa took a deep breath and pressed her palm against the stone. Warmth spread through her arm. The door rumbled and split open, revealing a chamber glowing with soft blue light. In the center floated a crystal the size of a human head, pulsing like a heartbeat. That is the Heartstone, Lyra whispered. You must carry it to the shield tower. Only there can its power be released. But the tower is on the surface, Lisa said. The Krell control the skies. Then we go through the old vents, Lyra said. It is dangerous, but it is our only chance. They climbed narrow shafts, crawled through tight spaces, and avoided patrols of Zorvak loyalists who still fought for the Krell. Lisa held the Heartstone wrapped in a thermal cloth. It felt alive, humming against her skin. Halfway to the tower, they were ambushed. 3 traitor soldiers blocked their path, weapons raised. "Hand over the stone," one growled. Lyra stepped in front of Lisa. "You betray your own people for monsters. We follow strength, not kings." The soldier spat. Before they could fire, Lisa threw a smoke pellet from her belt. The corridor filled with thick gray fog. She grabbed Lyra's arm and ran. Shots rang out behind them, sparking off the walls. They burst onto the surface just as a Krell dropship landed nearby. The shield tower stood ahead, half collapsed but still standing. Lisa sprinted, heart pounding, the heartstone clutched tight. Krell drones swarmed toward her. Lyra fired her plasma pistol, taking down 2. But more came. Lisa reached the tower's control room. The console was dead, screens dark. She placed the heartstone into the central socket. Nothing happened. "It needs a pulse," Lyra shouted over the noise. "Your pulse. Press your hand on the panel." Lisa did. Blood from a cut on her palm smeared the glass. The console flickered. Lights returned. The heartstone flared bright blue. A wave of energy shot into the sky, forming a new shield. Stronger, wider, humming with human and Xiran harmony. The Krell ships shuddered. Their gravity weapons failed. One by one, they exploded or fled. Silence fell over Xira. Lyra helped Lisa to her feet. "You did it," she said, tears in her eyes. "We did it," Lisa corrected. King Vorlax arrived soon after, carried on a hover litter. His wounds were bandaged, but his eyes shone with pride. He looked at Lisa not as an outsider, but as family. From this day, he declared, humans and Xirans are bound by blood and honor. No law shall separate us. No fear shall divide us. In the weeks that followed, Lisa stayed, not as a guest, but as a bridge between worlds. She taught Xiran engineers how human simplicity could solve complex problems. She helped rebuild the Eastern Gate. Children gathered to hear her tell stories of Earth, of oceans, of forests, of people who dreamed of stars long before they could reach them. But Lisa knew she could not stay forever. The stars called her, and this time she did not leave alone. Lyra stood beside her at the Dusty Roses ramp, wearing a new uniform, part Xiran, part human design. "I am coming with you," she said. "What?" Lisa asked. "The galaxy is bigger than one planet," Lyra said, "and I have much to learn. Besides, someone has to make sure you do not fly into a black hole." Lisa laughed. "All right. But you clean the engine room." "Deal," Lyra said as the Dusty Rose lifted into the sky. Zyra's new shield shimmered below, a symbol of unity. King Vorlax watched them go, a small smile on his face. He knew his daughter was not lost. She was exactly where she needed to be, with a friend who saw her not as a princess but as a person. And out there, among the endless stars, 2 women, 1 human, 1 alien, flew toward adventures no one had written yet, together. The Dusty Rose cut through the velvet dark of uncharted space, its engines purring like a contented cat. Inside, Lisa adjusted the navigation screen while Lyra studied a star map on a handheld tablet. They had been traveling together for 6 cycles, mapping dead zones, rescuing stranded traders, and sharing stories over cups of bitter Xiran tea and earth coffee. The ship no longer felt too quiet. It felt like home. One morning, as they passed the ruins of an old trade station near the Vega Rim, a distress call crackled over the comms. It was faint, broken by static, but Lisa recognized the language. English. Human. Help. "This is Freighter Odyssey. Engines down. Life support failing. Please." Lisa exchanged a look with Lyra. Without a word, she changed course. They found the Odyssey adrift, its hull pitted with laser burns. Boarding the ship felt like stepping into a ghost town. Lights flickered. Air was thin. In the cockpit, a young woman lay slumped over the controls, pale but breathing. Lisa checked her pulse, weak but steady. Her name was Megan. She was alone. Her crew had been taken by slavers from the Iron Veil, a rogue faction that preyed on small ships near the rim. Megan had hidden in the engine room, barely escaping when the slavers left, thinking the ship was empty. Lyra helped carry Megan back to the Dusty Rose. As Megan recovered, she told them everything. The Iron Veil was not just stealing ships. They were building something, a weapon powered by stolen alien tech and human bioenergy. And their base was hidden inside a derelict generation ship called the Eternal Voyage, floating in the silence between galaxies. That name made Lyra go still. The Eternal Voyage was once a Xiran peace ark, sent out centuries ago to find new life. It vanished without a trace. If the Iron Veil had it, they had access to ancient Zyran systems, and possibly the Ark's core, which could power a weapon strong enough to shatter planets. We have to stop them, Lyra said. Megan shook her head. You do not understand. They have hundreds of fighters, shields, traps. No one gets in. Lisa looked at her hands, then at Lyra. We are not no one, she said. They spent 2 days planning. Megan knew the layout of the Eternal Voyage from old freighter logs. Lyra knew its security protocols, and Lisa knew how to fly quiet and strike fast. They rigged the Dusty Rose with stealth mods and loaded it with EMP charges, human tech that Zyran systems could not detect. They approached the derelict under cover of a solar storm. The Eternal Voyage loomed ahead, a city-sized hulk of rust and shadow. Docking was impossible. Instead, they used an old maintenance tube crawling through narrow vents just wide enough for a human. Inside, the air was stale and cold. Lights flickered on and off. Strange hums echoed through the halls. Megan led them to the central core chamber, where the weapon was being built. Through a grate they saw it, a massive sphere of twisted metal and glowing wires pulsing with stolen energy. Chained to the base were dozens of prisoners, their life force being siphoned to charge the device. Among them was a Zyran elder, High Scholar Torin, once the keeper of the Peace Ark's knowledge. He looked weak, but his eyes were sharp. We have to free them, Megan whispered. But the room was guarded by Iron Veil soldiers and automated turrets. One wrong move and they would all die. Lisa had an idea. She pulled out a small device, a pulse emitter she had built from scrap. It would not destroy the weapon, but it could overload the control panel long enough to shut down the restraints. I will go, she said. You two cover me. No, Lyra said firmly. We go together. They moved as one. Lisa crawled down the vent shaft while Lyra and Megan created a diversion, setting off a small explosion in a far corridor. Alarms blared. Guards ran toward the noise. Lisa dropped into the chamber, rolled behind a console and planted the emitter. It beeped once. Then the lights died. The restraints clicked open. Now, Lisa shouted. Prisoners scrambled free. Torin stood, his old frame straightening with pride. He pointed to a panel on the wall. The core must be purged. Only a Zyran hand can do it, but it will burn the user from the inside. Lyra stepped forward without hesitation. I will do it. No, Lisa said, grabbing her arm. There has to be another way. There is not, Lyra said softly. This is my duty. My people built this Ark. I will not let it be used for evil. Before Lisa could argue, Lyra ran to the panel and placed both hands on it. Blue fire shot up her arms. She screamed but did not let go. The weapon groaned, then cracked. Energy surged through the ship. The floor shook. Get her out, Torin yelled. Lisa and Megan dragged Lyra back as the core collapsed in on itself. They ran through collapsing halls, dodging falling metal and sparking wires. Behind them, the Eternal Voyage began to break apart. They barely made it to the Dusty Rose. As they launched away, the derelict exploded in a silent bloom of light. Back on the ship, Lyra lay on the medbed, her skin pale, her breath shallow. The burns on her hands glowed faintly. Torin examined her with a scanner. She gave too much, he said. Her life force is fading. Megan cried quietly in the corner. Lisa held Lyra's hand, tears falling onto the sheets. Do not cry, Lyra whispered. I'm not gone yet. Torin looked at Lisa. There is one chance. The Heartstone. It still holds power. If we connect it to her, it might restore what she lost. They placed the Heartstone on Lyra's chest. It pulsed once, then glowed bright. Warmth filled the room. Color returned to Lyra's skin. Her eyes opened, clear and strong. You keep saving me, she said to Lisa. And you keep saving everyone else? Lisa replied with a smile. Torin bowed deeply. You have done what no army could. You have turned a weapon of death into a story of hope. Megan decided to stay with them. She had no home left, and the Dusty Rose felt like the start of something new. Torin returned to Zyra to rebuild the Scholar's Order, but not before giving Lisa a data chip filled with ancient star charts, paths no one had traveled in centuries. As the Dusty Rose sailed into the unknown, the three women sat in the cockpit, watching nebulae swirl in colors no human eye had ever seen. They were different. Human, Zyran, and something in between, but they shared the same heart. Out there, beyond the edge of known space, more stories waited, more lives needed saving, more friendships needed forming, and they would face them all, together. The dusty rose drifted near the edge of the Andromeda Veil, a region so remote that even pirates avoided it. Lisa, Lyra, and Megan had been tracking a strange energy signature for 3 days. Steady, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. It came from a small moon wrapped in thick ice and silence. They landed in a shallow crater, boots crunching on frozen dust. The air was thin, the sky black even at midday. Megan stayed with the ship while Lisa and Lyra followed the signal down a narrow crevasse. At the bottom, they found a door. Not a natural formation, but smooth metal covered in frost. Symbols glowed faintly along its edge, older than Xeran, older than human. Lyra traced the marks with her fingers. This is pre-galactic, from the first builders. Who are they? Lisa asked. No one knows, Lyra said. They vanished before history began. Some say they seeded life across the stars. The door opened at their touch, as if it had been waiting. Inside the air was warm. Lights flickered on, revealing a vast chamber filled with floating orbs, each pulsing with soft light. In the center stood a pedestal, and on it rested a single object, a silver seed no bigger than a human palm. As Lisa stepped closer, the seed glowed brighter. A voice filled the room, not in words, but in feelings, images, memories, emotions. It showed them a world long dead, a civilization that chose to leave its body behind and become pure thought. They scattered seeds like this one across the galaxy, hoping someone worthy would find them and carry their knowledge forward. You are the first to reach this place in 10,000 cycles, the voice said through their minds. Choose wisely. The seed can heal a dying world, awaken a sleeping mind, or power a weapon beyond imagining. But once used, it cannot be undone. Lisa looked at Lyra. What do we do? Before Lyra could answer, alarms blared from the dusty rose. Megan's voice crackled over the comms. Ships incoming. Lots of them. They are hailing us. It is the Krell. Not just the Krell, Lyra said, checking her scanner. The Iron Veil remnants are with them. They must have tracked us. The chamber shook as weapons fire hit the surface above. The door sealed shut. They were trapped. We cannot let them have the seed, Lyra said. But we cannot use it blindly, Lisa replied. The voice spoke again. The seed responds to intent. If your heart is true, it will know. Lisa picked up the seed. It was warm, humming like a living thing. She felt its power, not just energy, but wisdom, memory, hope. Outside, the Krell and Iron Veil forces landed. They blasted through the ice, breaking into the chamber. Their leader stepped forward, a tall Krell commander with cybernetic eyes and a human voice modulator. Give us the seed, human, he said, or your friends die. Megan was dragged in, hands bound. Lyra stepped in front of Lisa, ready to fight. Lisa looked at the seed, then at her friends. She thought of Xera, of Earth, of all the lives they had saved. She thought of kindness, not force, of healing, not war. She closed her eyes and whispered, help us protect, not destroy. The seed flared. Light filled the chamber. Not a blast, but a wave, gentle, powerful, unstoppable. It passed through everyone. The Krell soldiers dropped their weapons, confused. Their cybernetics shut down. The Iron Veil thugs fell to their knees, tears in their eyes as old memories of home and family flooded back. The seed had not attacked. It had reminded them of what they had lost. Compassion. The Krell commander stared at his hands. I had a daughter, he said, voice breaking. Before the hive took me, Lyra approached him slowly. You can be free. All of you. In the days that followed, the dusty rose became a sanctuary. Former enemies sat together, sharing food and stories. Megan helped repair their ships. Lyra spoke with the Krell commander, learning how the hive mind controlled them through neural implants. And Lisa held the seed, which now glowed softly in a case on the ship's wall. They decided to take the freed Krell and Iron Veil members to a neutral colony, a place where they could start over. Along the way, the seed began to change. Tiny roots grew from it, spreading into the ship's walls. The dusty rose's systems improved on their own. Oxygen became cleaner. Engines ran smoother. The ship was becoming alive. One night, as they passed a quiet star cluster, Megan asked Lisa what she would do with the seed now. I do not know, Lisa said. Maybe plant it somewhere that needs life. Maybe let it grow into something new. Lyra joined them at the viewport. Wherever we go, it goes. It chose us for a reason. Weeks later, they received a message from Xera. King Vorlax was dying, not from wounds, but from age. His time had come. He asked for Lyra, and for Lisa and Megan too. They returned to Zira under a sky of falling stars. The king lay in the Garden of Echoes surrounded by his people. When he saw them, he smiled. "You brought light back to my world," he said to Lisa, "and you, my daughter, have become more than I ever dreamed." He named Lyra his successor that night, not just as ruler, but as guardian of the new alliance between species, and he gave Lisa and Megan the highest honor, a place on the Council of Unity, the first humans ever to hold such a title. But Lisa knew her place was not in a palace. After the ceremony, she stood with Lyra on the same balcony where they had first reunited. "You will leave again," Lyra said. "Yes," Lisa said, "but not far. The dusty rose will stay in orbit. I will come down often, and you will visit me." Lyra nodded. "We are not saying goodbye, just changing how we stand." As Lisa walked back to her ship, Megan waiting by the ramp, she looked up at the stars. The seed glowed warmly in her pocket. The galaxy was still full of darkness, but also full of chances to make things better. And she, a simple scavenger from Earth, was part of something bigger now, not because she was strong or smart, but because she chose to care. The dusty rose lifted off, not to run, but to watch, to help, to be ready. Somewhere out there, another cry for help would come, and they would answer, together. Months had passed since King Vorlax's passing. Zira thrived under Lyra's rule, its cities blooming with gardens that mixed earth flowers and Zyran vines. The alliance between humans and Zyrans grew stronger every day, yet peace, Lisa knew, was never permanent. It had to be tended like a fragile plant. One quiet evening aboard the Dusty Rose, now docked in high orbit, Lisa received a message from an old contact, a human trader named Claire who ran a supply post near the Orion Fringe. The message was short and urgent. They took the children, all of them, from the colony on New Hope. Please come. No one else will. Lisa showed the message to Megan and Lyra. Megan's face went pale. New Hope was a small settlement, mostly families, farmers, teachers, people who just wanted a fresh start away from war. Who would take children? Megan whispered. Slavers again? Lyra said grimly. Or worse. They launched within the hour. The Dusty Rose cut through warp space, its hull humming with the quiet energy of the silver seed now woven into its frame. It no longer needed full power to jump. It seemed to know where they needed to go. They arrived at New Hope to find smoke rising from empty homes. Toys lay scattered in the dirt. A single shoe sat by the schoolhouse door. No bodies, no blood, just silence. Claire met them at the landing pad, eyes red from crying. They came at dawn, she said. Black ships. No markings. They used stun nets, not weapons. Took only the kids, 23 of them, and left. Did they say why? Lisa asked. One of them looked at me, Claire said, voice shaking. He said, the pure ones are needed for the awakening. Lyra stiffened. The awakening. That was an old Zyran myth. A ritual the first builders were said to have planned for the end of time. But it was just a story, wasn't it? Unless someone found real proof, Lisa said. They searched the colony and found a clue in the school's datapad. A child had drawn a picture before they were taken. A black tower under twin suns with a red eye at the top. Megan recognized it. That is the twin suns of Kalos, a dead system. No one goes there. Too much radiation. But if they have shielding, Lyra said, they could hide there. They flew to Kalos under silent engines. The system was harsh. Solar flares lit the sky like fire. But there, hidden in the shadow of a dead planet, floated a massive structure, not a ship. A station shaped like a coiled serpent, its surface covered in strange runes that pulsed with dark light. That is not Zyran, Lyra said, and not human. It is older. Wrong. They docked on the far side, using the seed's energy to mask their presence. Inside, the air was cold and smelled of metal and fear. They followed faint cries down twisting halls until they reached a vast chamber. The children were there, standing in a circle on a glowing platform. Above them floated a machine, a sphere of black crystal with a single red eye. And before it stood a figure in a tattered robe. When he turned, Lisa gasped. It was Dr. Ellis, a human scientist once believed dead in a lab accident years ago. He had vanished while studying ancient alien artifacts. Ellis, Lisa said. What are you doing? The children are pure, Ellis said, his voice calm but hollow. No implants. No cybernetics. No lies in their hearts. Their life force will awaken the Watcher. The last guardian of the first builders. It will cleanse the galaxy of weakness, of chaos, of emotion. You are hurting them, Megan shouted. They will be part of something greater, Ellis said. Sacrifice is necessary, Lyra stepped forward. The first builders did not want worship. They wanted growth. You twisted their message. Ellis smiled sadly. Maybe. But I have gone too far to turn back. He pressed a button. The platform lit up. The children cried out as energy drained from them. The red eye opened wider. Lisa knew they had no time. She looked at the seed in her pocket. It had healed, protected, reminded, but could it undo? She ran toward the platform. Guards moved to stop her, but Megan tackled one and Lyra disabled another with a nerve strike. Lisa leaped onto the circle just as the energy peaked. She held the seed high, not to destroy but to connect. Show them the truth, she whispered. The seed pulsed. Light exploded, not harsh but warm like sunrise. Images filled the room. Not of power or control, but of laughter. Of a mother holding her child. Of friends sharing food. Of enemies becoming allies. The real legacy of the first builders was not judgment. It was empathy. The children collapsed, safe. The machine cracked. The red eye dimmed. Ellis fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. I just wanted to fix everything, he sobbed. I thought this was the way. Lyra helped him up. The way is not through force, she said. It is through listening. They freed the children and carried them back to the Dusty Rose. Claire met them at New Hope with open arms and hot soup. Each child was returned to their family. The colony wept with joy. Ellis chose to stay, not as a prisoner, but as a teacher. He would spend his days helping others understand the past without fearing it. Back in orbit, Lisa stood on the observation deck, watching Zira spin below. Lyra joined her. You keep saving the future, Lyra said. I just give it a chance, Lisa replied. Megan came in with 3 cups of coffee, one for each of them. They sat in silence, sipping, watching the stars. The galaxy was still full of dangers. Old myths could become new threats. Lost people could do terrible things in the name of good. But as long as there were those willing to stand between the dark and the light, hope would never die. And on the Dusty Rose, 3 women, 1 human, 1 Zyran, one who had found her place between worlds, knew they would always be ready, not for glory, not for power, but for each other, and for every child who deserved a tomorrow.